Here's a full creative draft for your request. 3 years before Star Trek made him famous, William Shatner starred in one of the greatest horror episodes of all time. Before Captain James T. Kirk boldly went where no man had gone before, William Shatner had already carved out an unforgettable mark in another genre entirely: horror. 3 years before Star Trek's 1966 debut, Shatner starred in what many fans and critics consider one of the greatest episodes of anthology television ever made, the Twilight Zone classic, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. It was a story that terrified audiences in 1963 and has remained so iconic that it's been remade, parodied, and celebrated countless times since. For Shatner, it was not only a career-defining role but also a chance to showcase the intensity and charisma that would later make him a science fiction legend. The Twilight Zone's flight into terror. Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone was already a cultural phenomenon when Shatner boarded that doomed airplane as Robert Wilson. The show thrived on twisting ordinary experiences into nightmarish tales of morality and fear. But few episodes captured the balance of psychological horror and supernatural mystery as perfectly as Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. The premise is simple but diabolically effective. Wilson, recently recovering from a nervous breakdown, is flying home with his wife. Looking out the window, he spots a strange creature, a gremlin tampering with the plane's wing. Every time he tries to alert the crew or his fellow passengers, the creature disappears, leaving him looking increasingly paranoid. Is it real, or is it his fragile mind betraying him? That lingering uncertainty is what made the episode so terrifying. Audiences weren't sure whether to believe Wilson or dismiss him as delusional. And that uncertainty turned the story into a psychological masterstroke. Shatner's pre-Star Trek brilliance. What made Nightmare at 20,000 Feet legendary wasn't just the concept, but Shatner's performance. He infused Robert Wilson with a frantic, barely contained panic that escalated throughout the episode. His shifting eyes, desperate tone, and nervous energy captured the suffocating terror of someone trapped between what they know to be true and what others refuse to believe. This was before Shatner became known for his sometimes melodramatic delivery as Captain Kirk. Here, his acting leaned into vulnerability and claustrophobic dread. He wasn't a swashbuckling hero saving the day. He was an everyman slowly unraveling under the weight of his own fear. The performance was so raw that even when the gremlin was on screen a man in a somewhat goofy costume, by today's standards, Shatner's intensity made it utterly believable. It's no accident that the episode became one of the most discussed entries in the Twilight Zone catalog. Without Shatner's tightly wound energy, it might have slipped into camp. Instead, it became unforgettable. The episode's lasting influence. Nightmare at 20,000 Feet remains a cornerstone of television horror. It's been remade twice, once in 1983 for Twilight Zone, the movie starring John Lithgow, and again in the 2019 Twilight Zone reboot with Adam Scott. Each actor brought their own interpretation, but neither could escape the shadow of Shatner's original performance. The episode also influenced how we think about horror in confined spaces. Air travel was already a stressful, modern phenomenon in the early 1960s, and the story preyed on those anxieties. To this day, anyone with a fear of flying can probably relate to Wilson's terror at seeing something sinister lurking outside their window. Even beyond the Twilight Zone, the episode became shorthand for paranoia and disbelief in pop culture. From Saturday Night Live sketches to The Simpsons' treehouse of horror, Shatner's wide-eyed terror at the gremlin on the wing has been parodied endlessly. Yet no parody ever quite captures the haunting unease of the original. A preview of Star Trek's Captain Kirk. Looking back, Shatner's work in Nightmare at 20,000 Feet feels almost prophetic. The same traits that made him so convincing in the episode, his intensity, his ability to command the audience's attention, his willingness to teeter on the edge of melodrama, would later fuel his iconic performance as Captain Kirk. In both roles, Shatner had to make audiences believe in something extraordinary. As Wilson, he had to convince viewers that a gremlin existed despite everyone else doubting him. As Kirk, he had to sell the grand vision of Star Trek's future, to make strange new worlds, bizarre alien creatures, and cosmic dilemmas feel real. In a sense, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet was a test flight for the kind of storytelling Shatner would help pioneer in Star Trek. The horror before the hero. 3 years before the Bridge of the